Hi, I'm Kristen McClure, and today I want to talk about meaningful conversations. So, yesterday I went on a walk and I walked past a woman and her mother who were sitting outside the home where her mom lived, and they started a conversation with me, and it was a really nice conversation. And I've been, like most of us, isolated over the last year due to COVID. And I left feeling really good about the connection, but at the same time, not so good about my social skills. So I was thinking about, like, have I lost my social skills over COVID? Like, I wasn't very good at that conversation. Like, I ended it abruptly. I cut the women off a couple times. I wasn't a great listener. You would think I would have these skills, but obviously I didn't. But um, the daughter was like fabulous at facilitating the conversation, great at small talk, good at asking questions, um, just very good at making me feel at ease. And I started thinking about how important those skills are in life, and especially during this time when we're reconnecting. So I started also thinking about my clients and how so many of them struggle to have good conversations and also deep, connecting, meaningful conversations. So I did a little research, read some articles, and now I'm doing this video. And lo and behold, there's research on how to have more meaningful conversations and why they are so connecting for us. And I'm going to share it with you today. So let's see. The most important things that I've learned are that there's three parts to a meaningful conversation. Self-expression, which helps us feel understood. The role of the listener, who makes us feel heard and gives us feedback, in turn helping us to better understand ourselves. And the sense of connection, that's really a fundamental human need. And I think that is like, we're really struggling with this sense of connection now. It's so important for us to be reconnected after being, isolated for so long. At least I feel that way, and I know that many of my clients do. Studies show that people who have more deep, meaningful personal conversations have a higher sense of happiness and life satisfaction. Other studies show that if you encourage deeper, more meaningful conversations in pairs of people, that it causes a greater sense of intimacy and closeness. So we know that more connecting, deeper, meaningful conversations are really helpful for us. They increase our happiness. Small talk is also an important conversation, although most of us want more than small talk. So small talk, research on small talk shows that just connecting with other people, in the elevator, in a lift, in the grocery store, like, it does elevate our sense of well-being, but it's not enough. So why are meaningful, deep, connecting conversations so hard? Well, we don't have the skills, most of us. It doesn't come naturally for us. I suspect that woman that I met yesterday learned those skills in her family. She was really good at it. And it seemed to be very well practiced. Like, she'd been doing it for a really long time. I think some of us might not have ever learned the skills. I think some of us might be suffering from amnesia because of COVID. And I know that my clients who are socially anxious are preoccupied with their anxiety. And so that makes it really difficult for them to connect with other people through conversation. So I have a couple tips that I've gleaned from the research that I'm going to share with you about how to have more connecting, deeper conversations. So even though we don't like small talk is a precursor with people that we don't know very well to creating meaningful conversations. It's the first step. It's essential. So you have to be willing to endure it. You got to go through it. And lots of people, they don't want to do small talk. So you have to do small talk. You have to be willing to comment on whatever's going on in the environment, the weather, comment on people's clothing, on their dog, on whatever it is that you are observing, just to begin that conversation or to enter a conversation. You have to ask questions and focus on the other person instead of yourself. So people who are anxious often have a really hard time with us because they're focusing on their own anxiety. So you get preoccupied with your own thoughts, your own fear of people judging you, your own internal sensations. Trying to be curious about the other person and their experience and what they're sharing with you is a really good thing to focus on. And asking questions. So asking questions about what they're sharing with you and using what words and how words, like, what was that like? How did that feel? So just remembering the what and how can be a great way to entering into significant, important, meaningful conversations. Those are conversations where you learn something about yourself, the other person, and the world, and they're absorbing for you and leave you walking away feeling good. You cannot underestimate the importance of those conversations. And in my time as a therapist, I have had sessions where someone who was really struggling can have one conversation with one person that really made them feel good. And that's what the research shows. One of the things that my female clients often complain about on first dates with men is that they don't ask questions. And, they'll come back after a date and be like, he asked nothing about me. He wasn't interested in what I have to say. So again, just to emphasize that, being curious, asking questions, that will increase the flow and the connection and possibly open up a conversation to something more significant, more deep, more connecting, more meaningful for you. Listening, relaxing, being present, practicing mindfulness will really kind of help you enter into the flow, help that other person feel connected to you, open up the opportunity for a better relationship. At some point in every conversation, there is an opportunity for the focus to shift, for you to have an opportunity to self-disclose about yourself, something related to what the other person is sharing. But it's really important not to disclose too much or too little. So I like to think of this as the Goldilocks effect. And it can be hard to figure out what's the right amount. So you really have to be mindful and careful and cautious in new relationships and ongoing relationships about how much and how little to share. Just the right amount to help people feel comfortable. Enough for them to feel like they can trust you, and that you're wanting to have a relationship with them, but not too much that they feel overwhelmed with the information that you're sharing. So this is a skill, and it's something that you have to practice and kind of observe. That's about self-disclosure. And if you're going to a social event and with a new person or with a group of people that you're going to meet for the first time, you can learn a little bit about them. If for example, that you're going with a friend and she's bringing a friend, and that friend is a teacher, or that friend is a professor of philosophy, or a news anchor, or whatever that might be, you can learn a little bit about their job or the topics of interest that might be relevant so that you can come prepared to ask questions. There's nothing wrong with being prepared. And that might show that you're interested and help you be prepared to be engaged in conversation. So that's another tip. I always like to do that. So reciprocity is really important, and keeping that in mind, that focus on the other person is key to having meaningful conversations. It helps them to feel like you're listening, like you're concerned, and like you care. And that will often help them feel safe enough to share and to be interested in you. So that's a little bit about what I'm learning about today, and I hope that was interesting for you. I'm Kristen McClure, and thank you for watching.